Live lesson or recording? So today we're going to talk about the Baroque period. Okay. It's a roughly between 1600, right after the Renaissance, and the 1750. Actually, excuse me, after the classical period. All right. So some historical events of the early 1600s. Jamestown is founded in the United States. We have King James translate the Bible. Galileo confirms the Earth goes around the sun. Very important moment in history. 30-Year War. Louis XIV reigns in France. Again, we're going to see a couple of things from his reign. Quite Baroque. Newton, Principia Mathematica, thesis on mathematics. The witchcraft trial in Salem, United States. Louis XV reigns in France. And of course, Frederick the Great reigns in Prussia, which later became Germany, or a good part of Germany. It's Prussia was Germany, and I can't remember the other country. Sorry. Okay, so why is this an important part of art? Okay, within letters, in other words, writing is a time of Shakespeare. Cervantes in Spain writes Don Quixote. Rubens, which we'll look at, paints descent from the cross. Bernini does the David slaying Goliath. It's kind of a takeoff on Michelangelo's David, but you can see the movement in Bernini's much clearer. It's a really neat piece. Poussin, Mars and Venus, is another painting. Rembrandt, self-portrait. Milton, Paradise Lost. Locke, essay concerning human understanding. Embarkation of Cythera, Defoe Robinson Crusoe. Some of you guys may have heard of that book. And Swift writes Gulliver's Travels. So quite a busy time in Western art. In music, now we have Monteverdi writes Orfeo, which is considered the first actual opera. Oh, there's one piece earlier that I can't remember the name of it. But Orfeo is really considered the first major opera written in Western music. Monteverdi again does the Coronation of Poppea. Porcel writes Dido and Aeneas. Corelli Trion Sonata in A minor. Bach, Organ Fugue in G minor. Bach, the Brandenburg Concerto number 5, which we will listen to. And Vivaldi writes Primavera, another one by Bach. Bach and Handel are the two really large, I'm not say large, but biggest composers of the time when it comes to Western music. Bach in Germany and Handel in the UK, Britain. Okay. Bach writes mostly for strings and piano. Handel writes a lot of oratorios. So, what does all this mean? Okay, what is this Baroque style? Okay, it's very, I'm sorry, correct. It's between the Renaissance and the classical period of music. It is very flamboyant, almost bizarre, and very elaborated, very ornamented. Okay, it means the style fills a space canvas when painting, stone, sound, action, movement. In Berlinis, we see a lot of twisting in the David. You can actually see him ready to move. I mean, the piece is in action. The Davis by Michelangelo is very stationary. It's just there. You can almost see him thinking, but he's not ready to throw that stone yet. Bernini's, that stone is about to go. Um, in art, is very dramatic, potential of color, depth, contrast, light or darkness, really important. And we're going to talk about that. Music, incredibly ornamented. The melody is almost impossible sometimes to follow because there's so much going on. Um, one basic mood, it's either happy or it's sad. Rhythm and dynamics are constant. In other words, it's either loud or it's soft. There are no real large crescendos. There's just one volume. And very polyphonic in texture, meaning a lot of things happening all at once. You know, architecture, same thing, very ornamented, very grandiose. So this is the Versailles in France. It is King Louis XIV and King Louis XV palace. As you can see, it's the gardens are really very ornamented, a lot of movement. Okay. Now the building itself doesn't seem as ornamented, but if you look up here, there is a lot of ornamentation. It is kind of a throwback to later the classical period, going to the Greek period with a colonnade, but it's still very large, very opulent. This is very big in the Baroque period. Here's Marie Antoinette's bedroom. This is gold. All of it is gold. Now, seriously, I don't know how you could sleep in that place. I mean, it's like, I guess when it's dark, you can't see it. But I mean, seriously, this just attacks the senses. Talk about ornamented and opulent. Like I said, almost bizarre. This is a picture of King Louis. But you can see how everything is large, and it really is an assault on the senses. That is really the main idea of the Baroque period in Western art in Europe. Okay. So I talked to you about Rubens' descent from the cross. This is part of the biblical story. It's the story of Christ being lowered from the cross. And we talked earlier, said, dark and light really important during the Baroque art. Okay. If you can see the center where Christ is and the shroud is very, very bright. And on the outside is very, very dark. The whole point is that it brings the attention to that centerpiece where the artist wants you to look at. That's really the whole point of chiaro oscuro, light dark, chiaro, light, oscuro, dark technique. One of the most interesting characters in this piece is this one right here. This is Joseph of Arimathea, I think is the name, who was a wealthy merchant. Supposedly, he's the one that provides the tomb for Christ. And really interesting iconography here is the red and blue. Now, red and blue are the colors of the Catholic Church. So when you look at this, you're seeing Christ being brought down from the cross by this wealthy merchant and being received by the Catholic Church. Okay. Again, very opulent and very ornamented in the way the colors are. Now, another thing that we see a lot in this is almost pre-classical period. In the classical period, next uh, early 1700s, we are looking at back to the Renaissance values of human nature, of the beauty of human nature. And we start to see this, a little bit of this in the art, specifically painting and sculpture of the Baroque period. But again, what we see is a lot of chiaro, light, oscuro on the outside, dark, bringing in that view into the center of the picture, right? Again, now this is Mars and Venus by Poussin. Interesting. It's a mythological, non biblical story, but yet we still see that red and blue touch. Now, remember, we just got out of, well, we had the medieval times when the church was very, very strong. Renaissance, the church is not as strong, but it's still there. And you kind of want to be nice to them. Same thing happens here in the Baroque period. Okay. Now, music. In music is where really the Baroque period just explodes. Music and actually furniture. In furniture, you see a lot of opulence. In the music, we see a lot of the melodies are incredibly ornamented. It's almost impossible to follow because there's so much going on at the same time. Um, dy- Harmony is built by a lot of texture, a lot of textures putting it together, polyphonic texture. Same thing with the rhythm and the dynamics. Now, the rhythm and dynamics are constant, meaning if it's fast, tempo stays fast. If it's a slow piece, tempo stays slow. If it's loud, the dynamic stays loud. If it's soft, the dynamic stays soft. Now, the next period in the classical, we see some changes in dynamics. And as we've spoken before, when we get it down to the um, romantic period, we really start seeing the explosion of rhythm and dynamics changes. So here we're taking from that simple music of the Renaissance, with mostly minstrels, to orchestration, but in a very, very kind of box. But the melody itself, it's crazy. So the first one we're going to listen to is Bach, Brandenburg number 5. I want you to listen and tell me what instruments do you hear? Okay. A concerto is usually a piece for solo accompanied by a small ensemble or a large ensemble, but it's a solo piece. What instruments are doing the solo? Can you follow the melody? Can you sing for me the melody completely? You're going to hear some parts are going to stick to your nose, to your head, but really, in number 2, is it busy or not? Okay, here we go. Okay, so ooh, come on. So I'm gonna go back and listen to it a little bit again, but I want to talk a little bit about it. So you heard that, right? It's a very simple rhythm, but the melody itself is not. And then you have the flute start with a da dee dee da 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 da, really beautiful melody, which is being accompanied by all this below it, and the violin doubling on that, almost on a round form on that melody. Okay, which is again what makes this so complex. It seems like in some parts it's simple, but then the combination of all the parts makes it really complex to the ear. This is very common in Bach and the Baroque period. So let's listen to the beginning again. By the way, that piano looking, that's a harpsichord. You can hear that. Very busy. It's going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Almost like a roller coaster. You can hear the flute and the violin answers. But yet the harpsichord continues with the same feeling. And the melody is all at the same height. There is no changes in dynamics. Even when the ensemble takes over. Okay, so again, you could feel that tension built by the constant da 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 da, even when the melody is trying to just go nice and smooth, right? Next, we're going to listen to Handel's Hallelujah. You may have heard it during Christmas time. Handel's Messiah is one of the pieces performed quite often during Christmas. It's an oratorio, which means music set for choir and orchestra to a biblical text. Okay. And the entrance is pretty simple. But you're going to see how it starts getting really complex. That melody, da 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 da, it starts to just get more and more complex. So again, especially when it comes to music, the Baroque period is very flamboyant, very elaborate. It, like I said, it's very ornamented, and it's almost an assault to the senses. Like in the Hallelujah, you can see it's just grandiose, it's larger than life, and it stays at that level the whole time to get you that feeling of just wow. Okay. And that is really the Baroque period in one word. Wow. It's just very, very, very intricate. Okay. Also, thank you for coming. I hope to see you again next month. Have a great day, guys.